which is the next topic here, the Phoenix Suns, who they also knocked out the playoffs in the second round by Denver in 6 games on Thursday night. They have similar issues too. I
Absolutely.
I would argue just as dire, really. Think about it. Um, well, let's start here first, though, Zach. With the Suns, do you consider this season a failure? And I'll respond to your thing after.
Yeah, because you have what should be three basketball savants who could not figure out how to play on the floor together
Mhm.
and incorporate their teammates to have a championship team.
By the third one, you mean Aiton or Paul?
You have Paul, Durant, and Booker.
Okay.
They could not figure out how to deal with people's attitudes and people's talents to still advance the team. And then once Paul went down, that was it. I mean, I think Kevin Durant was leading in minutes per game in the playoffs. That's how that's how short their team was once Chris Paul went down.
Yeah.
And I feel bad, but I think he's got 1 year left.
Chris Paul,
Yeah.
if that. Some people say he's done now.
Well, I
You're,
don't
you're being
walking
so
away.
well. We'll get to that in a second because his contract is a little more complicated. I disagree with you on the failure part, and here's why. Coming to the year, what you and I and Chris did our predictions, we did our over unders. I think we all agreed their window was shut for the year started.
What? Well, no, no, no.
I certainly know I was
You
the one
really
saying
like the over still. I remember
I like the over. I thought they'd
I
be
hated that line.
no, right. But no, what I said though was that yes, they'll win the amount of games they need to win to get over the hump. But once the playoffs start, they'll flame out in the playoffs.
Okay.
The championship window was closed.
All right.
You get KD. Obviously, you give a lot of depth to get him. You get KD. You reopen the window by 2-3 years because obviously his contract has another 3 years left on it, 3-4 years, something like that. Okay. And I didn't go with the media on this. The narrative when he got there saying, "Oh well, Kevin Durant makes him the favorites in the West." I texted you this. I told you they're probably one of the favorites in the West. I'll give you that. But are they the definitive favorites? No, because number one, is Katie staying healthy? Is Aiton bought in? Is Chris Paul staying healthy? You know, I'll give you one of the favorites, but to say it's a failure now is all about how your expectations were.
That's
It was never. My point was, it wasn't title or bust for me this year. Next year is title or bust.
when you rattled that off, all I heard was but, but. You know what? The Nuggets, the Warriors, they could Curry could roll an ankle and that's it. Murray could go down with a knee issue, Porter a back issue, but everyone's got butts, and they figure out a way.
But you're
And
asking a team to on moment's notice, and Durant didn't come back to the last 8 games of the season.
again,
I didn't see me personally. I didn't run with the narrative though. Everybody else did. I did not.
have Katie and Chris Paul ever played together? The Olympic team, they've had time.
All
All
star games, maybe. That's about it.
they've had time. Devin Booker, KD, they play together. Yeah, Olympics, All Star games. They've had interactions. We keep getting told all you need are walkthroughs now in practice. All you gotta do is just be on the court for shoot arounds. So
I mean, I get it. I totally get it.
I I,
Um,
I have to take them at their word that they're basketball savants. They love the game and they can figure it out together.
yeah, but again, I push back on that. I think the reason why also too is that I thought people just give pencil them in is winning the West automatically was a disrespect to Denver. a disrespect to Golden State, a disrespect to teams like those who have camaraderie, who have you know all that ready to go. You
Yeah.
know, look, it was never a telebus for me this year. Next year, when you be able to rebuild. Now here's where we get to the meat and potatoes of this whole situation with the Suns. How do they rebuild their roster? Because here's the problem. We went through it with Golden State a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Phoenix has similar issues too. First things first, and I think you and I agree on this. They got to move on from DeAndre Ayton. Move that contract. Find a way, some way, somehow.
I mean, I threw out an idea. I would go Western Conference right to Golden State. I'd be like, hey, you need some size, and we need a guy who can take a shot.
You know what's sad about the Ayton thing though? It has nothing to do with his play, his attitude.
Yeah.
The Ayton is due 32-4 next year, 34 the year after, and then his final year in 2 years at 35-5.
Yeah. So odds are they're gonna go right back to Indiana and try and work out a trade this offseason, because they couldn't trade him during the trade deadline because you had to be with the team for a year after an extension.
I thought they should let Indiana sign him. They should have matched the offer sheet. I was saying it from day one. I think we all said that. I think you and I all said that. That was not smart. But at the time, we didn't know. But at the time, I understood why he did it, because at the time there was no Kevin Durant to worry about at the time. it was that we need to keep our assets and figure out a way to win.
So you thought the idea was to make a panic move instead of sticking to your guns, making the decisions that you had made, and just letting him walk.
And not only that, it's the same issues last year. Attitude last year, same thing this year. Nothing changed. You saw the clues there. You should have known.
Exactly. So again, that decision to actually sign him to that contract was a panic move, and it set them back. So I don't know how anyone can say that's what they had to do. They were doing the right thing, and then they panicked and backpedaled.
Right. And then and now you have the other issue now is Chris Paul. The other elephant in the room, Chris Paul. All right. His contract now is interesting. His contract is partially guaranteed until June 28th. If he's still on the roster by June 28th, after that, it's not fully guaranteed. And he's also getting paid a lot of money. In fact, he's getting paid, I'm looking at it right here, $30 million, $30.8 for the next 2 years. 30.8 this year and 30.8 next year.
What's the partial?
I think it's half.
Oh, it would be half?
I think it's half.
I cut him.
I don't know the rules on that.
Why not cut him and try and re-sign him to the veteran minimum?
I don't know the rules on that. I know if they could do that.
Why not? You're saying if he's on the roster by the 28th, he gets the whole amount. So you can cut him, and then he's a free agent, and you could offer him the veteran minimum and be like, look, you can play with KD and Devin, and you'll know we're serious because we'll move Ayton because we know you don't like him.
The likelihood is that he'll probably get bought out. It's the same thing as cutting him, but bought out. The problem is you're going to buy out $60 million. That's a lot of money to buy out, though. But again, also it's complicated too because the way the contract's written too.
So hold on, is his contract next year partially guaranteed?
Partially guaranteed.
Yeah, so they don't have to buy him out. If they wait till the 28th, that gets guaranteed. They'd have to cover that amount and the partial guarantee for next year. If they cut him before the 28th, they only owe that 15. And then they owe no more of that contract. So cut him. And
there's also another year in his contract too. Also, not this next year, but the following year too. Also,
yeah,
which is also partial guaranteed as well, I believe.
But that can't be even guaranteed if he's cut from the year before.
Right. I don't know the actual rules on that. If they can do that and it's off the books, and I don't know how it works exactly, but it's complicated. But all in all, they got questions to answer. Now, here's where, if I'm Phoenix, I'm still feeling good about things moving forward. And I said this on the podcast a couple days ago. At least right now in this moment, and now look, there's a lot of moving parts that we're gonna see in the weeks to come as you get closer to free agency and whatnot. At least they can say, look, we have our two guys. We have two top 10 guys in the league right now on our team, and we have them for the next 2-3 years.
And so one of them stay healthy.
Yeah. Well,
because the Clippers, neither one can stay healthy. The Lakers, neither one can stay healthy.
There you go.
So having just one that can still stay healthy,
right?
That's huge.
So Phoenix is in a good situation where, like, okay, this is why I don't think it's a failure. Because their future is still, the window's still open for 2-3 years. Because at least for the next at least next 2 years. I think we can say that KD is still going to be an elite player for the next 2 years. We can at least go to that, assuming he stays healthy. They can at least say, we have our two guys. This is what we're banking with for the next 2-3 years. We're rolling with that. Not every team can say that. And the teams that could say that have massive questions. Lakers, health issues. Like, as good as they are, and as good as the run this is, AD can 1 minute bust his D. He's done. LeBron is old. They got questions to answer to themselves. Boston might lose Jaylen Brown. Now, look, he won the All-NBA award. We contended second. Does that mean they want to? He's eligible for
We're
Supermax in Boston?
Have to talk about those contract situations.
Yeah. Does Boston want to offer that kind of money? And Jaylen Brown wants to get out of there. It's quite obvious. He's pissed off at Boston for how they handled the way they, the Durant thing last summer. Plus, he's not happy there at all anyway. He hates the city. He's been very vocal about that. They have questions. The Sixers, James Harden be gone, which in my opinion could be a good thing, to be honest with you. Miami's year to year. Milwaukee's doing this little weird retooling, rebuilding thing, whatever you want to call it. They got old kind of they got kind of old out of nowhere. So Phoenix is the one team right now of the elite teams or the upper echelon teams in the NBA that could say, guess what? Yeah, bad ending to the year, but you know what? We have our two guys, and then you got to figure out how to retool on those guys, retool around the guys, trade Ayton, find a way to move Ayton, and I think Ayton has value. As much as I can't stand the guy, he has value somewhere. Someone's gonna take that contract because he's too young and he's too talented enough to find one team that needs a big man. So I think Phoenix is in a good spot right now, to be honest with
you. A team can be in a good spot and it still be a failure for the season.
I mean, I got what you're saying, though. I mean, I disagree with this because, again, I think you may have had higher expectations of the Suns post-trade. I did not. I thought they were one of the favorites, not the favorites. Hey, it is what it is.
I know we were going off of my opinion from the preseason. I'm going off of that team's opinion of themselves.
Yeah. Well, yeah.